Well, we want to study some more here on this one, on how to receive a picture. People say, well, you know, how can I receive something? Is it sort of in my mind's eye, or am I going to receive some kind of a whomp in the head? Is it going to be something so magnetic and so big that I can't miss it? Let me say that I believe that receiving a word of knowledge by way of a picture is something that we basically receive in our mind's eye. I think this is why we need to know the difference between a vision, which is a living in another complete dimension, which you are seeing something and living out an spiritual experience that is far different than natural experiences. Let me just try to give you this understanding of receiving a revelation in your mind's eye. And I believe also you're going to find out that you can know the difference between that which you actually think and that which is really born of God. But you've got to step out in faith and do it, first of all. Let's picture a girl, if you will, okay? And she's going down the street. Now, I want you to picture in your mind's eye what she is wearing. What color hair does she have? Is she running? Is she walking? How old is she? Okay, well, somebody tell me, what do you see? Come on, Jack, what do you see? What kind of a girl do you see? And I won't tell your wife what you're telling me. She's here in the meeting.
I see her out walking today. She's a blue-eyed blonde.
A blue-eyed blonde is what you see.
With a terrific figure.
A real terrific figure. She's got shorts on. I suppose she's about 3 years old. Oh, bless God. One man, I was asking him what he saw, and he said, I see a topless girl. And here he was looking at it, he said, I see a little 2-year-old. Well, anyway. All right, we picture something in our mind's eye, right? And we now see a picture. Some of you formed a picture of a girl running down the street and maybe short, dark hair. It could be anything. When you receive a word of knowledge and you're receiving a picture, what I want you to understand is this, that you literally will get that particular picture right immediately when you step out in faith to receive, okay? I vividly picture any part of the body. Now it's coming to the point where when I lay on hands, I don't necessarily have to lay on hands. You can look at someone if you know that you're going to minister to that person. But just as you minister to them, and then a part of the body may be made manifest, or depending upon whatever is going to be revealed, all right? For an example, in this case of a picture. I know that we have all seen the funny papers at some time or another, and so the pictures that the Lord shows us, as I mentioned to you before, they are given to us according to our psychological nature of receiving. There was a woman who came under my hands for ministry after one of our seminars that we had. And when I laid hands on her, I saw a comic picture, one of these that you see in the comics. Do you know when people are in these comic strips, their faces and their bodies are shown, but you know the little things that come out from their mouths, you know, the little word things, and then they're a word is out phrased in sort of a frame, okay? Well, this is what I saw, and in that picture I saw the words, angry words. Now, I just said to her really what I saw. I didn't say, I see a comic picture. I just said, I see here that there have been some angry words that have come out of your mouth. Okay? And then I said, now I see a picture of another person, and I believe that there is someone else also involved in this particular situation. You know, this girl broke down and she wept and she wept and she wept. And she said, oh my. She got up, she got up out of the chair. She didn't even wait for further ministry. She went and she cried and she went into the other room. Now, some of the people thought that maybe, you know, I hadn't said the right thing, and that, you know, somebody should go in there. I says, no, just leave her. I said, she's working out something in her heart right at this point, okay? This is, again, is another word of knowledge. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you go with somebody and you're with them. But right now, she had something to work out herself. When she came back, she proceeded to tell me that she had had a quarrel with her minister that very day. And she had said some very angry words, and she had just really said some horrible things, and had really done something that she should not have done. And in which case, because this had been revealed, and because there had been so much love with it to try to encourage this one then to make it right with God and with the person in whom she had offended, she worked it out herself, and she received a great inner healing on this and forgiveness, and she was glad that God had done it the way he had. He will never reveal something unless it is timed, unless it is something that is good for that person. It was not condemning. The revelation was, I said, I see angry words coming out of your mouth, and it was revealed by a picture, by a comic picture. But by the same token, the word of wisdom, as it came forth also, that the Lord would have you know that he would want you to make this right. And indeed, she did set about to so do. Here is another picture that I saw. And these pictures come in very strange ways. Again, this was in another meeting, and this man came to me and just stood there in front of me and for ministry. He didn't say anything that was wrong with him. He just said, would you minister to me, please? And I knew very well he wasn't going to say anything to me. Some people, I don't even bother to ask. Some people I like to sit down and talk with them, and say, listen, what's on your heart? And give them opportunity to unwind and to say what's on their heart. And then I minister to them. Other times I just go ahead and minister as the Lord leads before they tell me anything. But in this case, this man just said, would you minister to me? Now I saw a picture. And it was the letter A-1. Now what would that mean to you if you saw an A-1? Anybody think anything else?
Super duper.
Super duper. All right, you see, I know that some people might think it was, I forget some of the other things that some people have said that they thought it might be not necessarily A1 shape. But to me, when I see an A1, it means that a person is in perfect health, okay? So obviously, there's nothing to minister to health-wise. So why are they there for ministry then? Now at this point, I received another word of knowledge, and the word of knowledge was this, and it came by way of word or thought, all right? Now you see how each of these things begin to flow together so that you get one after another. The word or thought was this: prophesy over him. Okay? Bring him a word from the Lord. So I began to bring a word from the Lord. How much the Lord loved him, how much the Lord wanted to encourage him in the things, and he was desiring to know the truth so that he could be set free, and so that his heart was hungering and yearning to know what was truth, etc., etc., etc. Well, what happened at this point? When I got through, he was weeping. I love to see a grown man cry when he's been touched by the Lord. But he was weeping, and he said, I really, Mary, he says, I've got to apologize to you. And I says, really? What for? I said, you haven't done anything to me. He says, listen. He said, when I came into the meeting tonight, he said, I really came in out of sheer curiosity and the fact that I wanted to put you to the test. He says, I really didn't believe that you could reveal things to people and that, that this was really of God. And he said, I knew in my being that I was in perfect health. He said, I had been listening to you reveal things to other people that they had back problems and leg problems and feet problems and head problems and so on. And he said, I knew I was in perfect health. And I knew very well that if you were to tell me something was wrong, that it would be off base, okay? Because he said, I've just finished having a physical examination. But he said, it was revealed to you that I was in A1 shape. And then he said, to top it all off was that God just seemed to pour so much love upon me, telling me that I was searching for truth and wanting to know truth, and that God wanted to give it to me. He said, I felt so ashamed for doubting at this point. And he said, please forgive me. Now, isn't God wonderful? He gives us really what we need. And this is what Revelation is for. It's, again, to build somebody's faith. There's no profit in knowing that somebody's got A1 health just for the sake of knowing it. The purpose in revealing it, and every revelation that's given, is that the person's faith will be built up to be brought to a closer relationship to their Lord. And that's what it's all about. So there are many types of things that we can receive by way of picture. Again, I'll never forget the woman that I ministered to. And she was a beautiful girl. Oh, I tell you, this girl was gorgeous. She had lovely blonde hair, and she had it piled way high on top of her head, beautiful blue eyes, and her skin just looked like peaches and cream. She looked like she had stepped out of the front cover of some beautiful movie magazine. I mean, she just looked gorgeous. And I was actually in a complete women's meeting in this occasion. She was sitting up in the front. She came for a special ministry. Again, to look at her in the outward appearance, you would say that nothing was wrong. Now, the first revelation that I received regarding her was this. A body impression, first of all. My skin started to feel very tight and taut, like prickly, sort of strange. Now, I knew that ordinarily I do not feel this way. I'll be honest with you, I feel like I'm in perfect health. Apart from being overweight and, eating too much, and, you get a little sleepy at times like this, but apart from a few things like that, I'm in perfect health, all right? So I know that if all of a sudden I feel sort of strange when I lay hands on somebody, I know that God's revealing to me, and I'm picking up what that person feels like a chameleon does, okay? You literally become that other person. And so I said, okay, your skin feels sort of tingly and taut. And that was a body impression. Now the next thing I got was a picture. And I literally saw a large, a magnified picture of her eye. And the little hole, the little tear duct? Do you know there's a little tear duct? Have you ever looked at your little tear duct in there, huh? Do you know that this woman, from the picture that I saw, that the picture God was giving me, she didn't even have the opening there in the little tear duct. And so I said to her, listen, you have got problems. Now I received a word or thought, again, you've got problems with water retention in your body. She says, that's right. She says, I don't cry. I can't cry out of my eyes. She says, my skin feels all tight and tingly. And she says, this is true. Now, I said, honey, I'm going to tell you something that's going to be a great relief to you. Do you know that you have felt, and people have told you that you were devil-possessed? And this girl broke down and she started to weep. And I said, I want you to be comforted, honey, because you are not devil-possessed. And she wept harder now. I said, I'm going to tell you how you've been reacting. Now, I know nothing about water retention. I don't know anything about the physical body. I am not a medical person. I don't know anything about it. I'm only telling you what God revealed, all right? I said, listen, and now I saw another picture of her, kind of like she was running through the house and holding her head and feeling like she could just scream. And I said, I see you just running and screaming and saying, God, I'm going to go mad. I don't know what to do. And she says, yes, this is true. That's exactly what I've done. She says, I have gone to psychiatrists for examinations. I've tried to tell my husband that at times I just feel like I'm going to blow my cork and scream. I can't stand it anymore. And she said, I just feel this way every once in a while. I says, all right, you have been told also by people who've been praying for you that you're devil-possessed as well. Isn't that correct? And she says, yes. I says, you are no more possessed than a bag of beans is. I said, your problem is the water retention. And at a certain time, the oxygen in your head and all of these things combined makes your body feel this way. And this is why you feel like you want to scream. I tell you, if ever a woman was happy, even though she still knew that she had this problem, and I haven't seen her, I don't know what happened. I would like to think that she had a miracle of healing, but I really don't know because I never saw her from that time on. But to know that she wasn't possessed, because she was getting to be paranoid, thinking that she was possessed with all of these feelings that she was getting, eh? And so this is what the word of knowledge does as well. It not only revealed all these different things that were wrong, but also comforted her heart and to let her know that she wasn't possessed like she thought she was. I know that there's an awful lot of ministry today of people going around telling everybody else they're possessed just because there's something strange going on in that person's life. It's no wonder doctors are saying, they shake their heads and say, oh my goodness, what's going on with these people? Religious fanatics. We've got to know, this is what the word of knowledge does. It gives a real clear picture of what's going on where we can minister as unto the Lord, and that's the way it should be. In looking at these things, I'll never forget as well, and I'm just giving you these different illustrations to show you how you can receive pictures, and it's not as if you're trying to make something out of it. It's just that the picture is there in your mind's eye. As soon as God gives you that picture in your mind's eye, then reveal it. Don't try and figure it out. Sometimes you can't figure it out. You're better off not to. Here's another one I tried to figure out. I was ministering to a man, and all of a sudden I see again his eyes. And it was like the lights that are shining here bright today, okay? There was like great big lights right in his eyes. Now, do you know what I let my natural mind, instead of believing God and carrying on with the ministry as God was giving to me, I'm trying to figure this out. I wonder why those lights are in there. And as I thought it, I was thinking, well, maybe he was looking at the sun too long. Now, God does not deal in maybes, right? So I decided at this point, God doesn't deal in maybes, so Lord, what is the problem? I believe and receive. Now, I said, I see a picture of you. You are working with an arc light, a welder's arc light. And I said, I see a hood over your face, and all of a sudden the hood is not on your face. And I said, I see, did you ruin your eyes or look at an arc light too long? And he said, yes. He said, I'm a welder. And he said, I ruined my eyes by looking at this light when I should have had my hood on. Now, you see how God reveals things? He will show or reveal that part of the body that is there. Again, in another situation, another man that I had ministered to, I said, I see little pieces of dust in your lungs. And he said, do you want to know something? I have been laid off work where I was working in this factory because of the dust that was in there. He said it's only been recently that it's starting to kind of leave the lungs and clear out. But he said, I was laid off work because of the dust that had gotten in. It's a kind of, it wasn't a normal type of dirt dust, all right? It's a type of dust that comes from the type of manufacturing that was done. So there are many types of revelations that God gives, and by way of picture. And so again in our mind's eye, we are then able to see these pictures and be able to reveal them. Let's look at these thing of hearing with the hearing ears and the odors with the smell. When we go into the study on the gift of the discerning of spirits, we're going to show to you that at times there may be a foul odor in a home that you go into. I will never forget going into a house over on the island, and these people had asked for ministry and for prayer, and I had gone into that home, and I'll tell you, first of all, I looked around the house. I never look at people's housekeeping. Please don't misunderstand me. But I just glanced around the house. You take sort of a quick look at something, and the house looked very clean, really, very clean. Looked like the floors were all vacuumed and there wasn't a spot of dust anywhere. It looked good. But there was the foulest odor in there, like something had died. And I thought, my God, what does this smell in here? You know, it's putrid, it's foul. The minute I said it's foul, I realized there was a foul spirit. Now, it had nothing to do with any garbage sitting in the house. There was nothing. As I had gone into the house and as I had sat there, there was nothing to indicate that there was anything that was out of order other than the fact that God was revealing to me that there was a problem, spiritual problem, and indeed there was. This man had been practicing in the occult. He'd been going into all sorts of evil things and calling up spirits and opening the door of his own household to all types of witchcraft. And indeed, I will have to go into the story of this when we get into the study of the discerning of spirits. But God does sometimes reveal, okay, that there are foul spirits by giving you a foul odor. Now, I've also gone into some other homes and smelt funeral flowers. Now, I've smelt wedding flowers and all kinds of flowers, but these were funeral flowers, okay? And I knew that there was going to be a death in the family. Now, in that case, I did not say, listen, there's going to be a death in the family. But I would say, listen, let's have a little Bible reading and prayer together, shall we? And I would read from the scriptures. And then you know what I would do? I would just leave the home, And within the short time, in fact, this happened, a short time later, the man died in that family. And the people came to me after, and they said, listen, Mary, when you came, the Lord just gave us those scriptures to our remembrance again, and I want to thank you for sharing those with us because they were a comfort to our hearts after the funeral, okay? Or during the time of the funeral. So sometimes you declare that there's going to be a funeral, sometimes you don't. But when you smell those funeral flowers, you know there's going to be one, so you've got to do the word of wisdom and know what to do with it. All right, we'll carry on to some more here with what we're studying on odor and see what happens.